Despite all the tweets and Reddit threads, all the tweets that I got saying this team may be incapable of losing. This may be for the first time ever in Call of Duty history that a team kind of goes throughout the season and doesn't lose a single series. And what happens? They finally do. And you know what? I'm actually pretty happy about it. Why? Because after CDL Atlanta, there was no question who the best team in the world was. Heading into Atlanta, there was conversation, right? I mean, many people ranked Chicago very, very highly, as we had yet to see FaZe in a full tournament setting. And what happened? Chicago came out and looked flat, almost all event long. Right? They went Game 5, Round 11 versus Toronto. That is pretty much a team that is not even close to being on the same level as them. They look shaky at times throughout a series, especially in Hardpoint versus Minnesota, suffering the worst Hardpoint loss yet in the CDL up to that point in game number 1. They get reverse swept by Florida, which granted, Florida on the day looked great, but in the first 2 games, it was also very close and could have gone Florida's way as well. A few situations go differently, and that is a 5-0 for the Mutineers. You suffer what was rather, you actually win the Hardpoint game in game 1 by 9 points. You win the Search and Destroy 6 rounds to 4. And the losses that you suffer, right, the next 3 games, they weren't close. 40-point loss in the Dom, 64-point loss in the Hardpoint, a 6-2 in the Search and Destroy, especially considering that you looked like one of the best teams post-London. And at that point, the comparisons, at least for me, were over. Chicago was part of getting reverse swept. Atlanta was part of reverse sweeping. The only team at that time that could even be compared to FaZe was Huntsman. And after Atlanta, there were no more questions. Everything that Atlanta had worked toward in the preseason was in some ways accomplished, right? Outside of what is going to be the World Championship aspirations for the future, everything was accomplished and in record time. Be the best team considered in the game. Check. To look consistent in all game modes. Check. To have consistency across the team and individually. Check. To be the most well-communicated team. Check. And to win the first event they play at their home market. Check. This team needed to be shaken up a little bit. And even though they've really only had problems with one team, I think for this particular group, it's enough.